Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC and everything else in a moment, but first, since it's everywhere, I do feel like I have to say something in regards to the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Did I agree with that man? No. On a whole lot. In fact, the only thing I could probably say I did agree with him on is Christ. That's pretty much it. But at the same time, watching someone go down like that, who's that young, 31 years old, he's younger than I am. Started about around the same age though. In regards to dealing with politics for very obviously very different reasons. You know what? Yes, he has said horrible things. And you haven't? No, I haven't. We've all said horrible things, especially when we're young. He had his whole life ahead. There was no telling on how he would evolve as a human being as he got older. He never got that chance. He didn't get the chance to grow, to learn, to maybe become better. Nor did he know nearly enough about disability policy to be considered anyone of import to actually listen to on the matter, but nonetheless, he was just a fucking kid. With two beautiful little kids and a wife. If on some level you can't feel at least a smudge of sympathy for that, then please unsubscribe from this channel immediately. Who the hell are some of you think you are to go and glorify anybody's death? Anybody's. Anybody's. I feel like some of you all have never heard the phrase, every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. We won't get to see that development though now, will we? Will we? Let's be honest with ourselves here. Let's be honest with ourselves. We are at each other's throats at the orchestration of madmen, where we should be uniting against the people who wish to use us. We are instead allowing them to pull our puppet strings to tear each other apart. We are allowing them to distract us with all this rhetoric and increasing violence while they slip things unnoticed into law and our rights get eradicated a little bit more every goddamn day, especially those of us of vulnerable populations like those who are disabled, the elderly, LGBTQ+, people of color, homeless folks, homeless veterans, people getting fired from government jobs left, right, and center. But instead, you're too busy viscerally at each other's throats. Because I'm sorry, that is what I am seeing is being wanted. Democrats, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Really? Then why the hell are you celebrating his death if you don't want that? There are a few people who have been horrified and talked about gun control, which is what I would normally expect, but I've been dealing with politicians for decades, folks. For the love of God, left, right, what is it going to take for you to realize they don't give a shit about you or me? They are in it for the money, the power, they're in it for themselves. Every last one of them. Now we're going to turn on each other. It's not okay. Am I saying Kirk was right? Hell no. He did what he did on Longshore campuses. I wouldn't be afraid to go up to him, though. And in my fashion, start rapid fire asking him questions about what he knows about disability policy, and does he really know exactly how that abomination of a bill is going to eradicate programs that have been helping people like me for decades. A good majority of people don't. They don't work in the service system. They haven't been through the service system. Any day of the week, I'll take that debate. I don't care who you are. But I want the debate. I don't want the violence. I don't want the rhetoric. I don't want both sides screaming at each other's throats like a bunch of enraged, drugged up, out of their mind Karens on PCP. We need to take a collective moment. People need to sit down, get off the computers. Yeah, I know, Rich, coming from me, I get you. But we need to get off our computers. We need to get off our phones. We need to turn off all the goddamn distractions and start thinking about how we've been acting, how we've been treating others. The things that have been coming out of our mouths. Because they are mattering now more than they ever have. More than they ever have. Quite frankly, that's all I got to say on the matter. If you can celebrate somebody's death, whether you liked him or not, whether you agreed with him or not, if you are out there celebrating his death, you're not on my side. Not for the death of a young kid with a young family. But he said hateful things. Okay, that can be addressed in the public forum, in a proper civil adult debate. I mean, he's game, obviously. He built his empire on it. It isn't this. You want to know who resorts to violence? Those who have no say. Who have nothing to say. They have nothing to hit back with. Okay? Those who don't resort to violence, who champion civil debate, me being one of those individuals, that's why I won't tolerate any slurs, name calling, or any other partisan bullcrap in my comment section. A young person has been assassinated. Kids have lost their dad. A wife has lost her husband. You can hate every single thing that man stood for, but you need to remember a few things here. He was a kid. People be like, 31 years old isn't a kid. The fuck it isn't. The fuck it isn't. I made some of those brain dead, dumbass decisions in my 30s than ever I even thought to contemplate in my 20s. He was a kid. He could have evolved. He could have grown. He could have maybe became something else, maybe he would have stayed where he is, but now the potential, that light, that soul is gone. This is not how we change things. Study the revolutions that were successful and the ones that ultimately failed. Start studying the ones that failed and figure out why. And then calm your asses down. If we aren't willing to tear our faces away from screens and start talking to each other again, it's only going to continue to get worse, and everybody's going to have all the tools they need to keep us hoodwinked until, before we even know it, we're back in a medieval era and we didn't even notice it happened. Alright, brief disclaimer, folks. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, all pertinent links should be right there in the description box for you. Should you like to do a deep dive on either subject, you should definitely be able to go ahead and do so. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. Very obviously, I use profanity, and when we talk about places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present that are 16 and younger, parental supervision very obviously advised, alright? Okay, so where we left off, it's going to be a little short. That rant went a little bit longer than I anticipated, but my God, my faith in humanity is just getting lower. Like, at this point, I'm wondering if there actually is a bottom. Let me go ahead and read here. Alright, so this one says, I'm writing in as a concerned citizen. I do not believe that anyone in the United States should be electrically shocking disabled people for any reason. I would like the FDA to pass the ban. In addition to the incredibly obvious moral repugnance of such an action, I would also like to point to the adverse mental and physically injurious effects of electric shock devices such as burns. In reference to the physical trauma, I will quote the FDA's 2016 rule proposal. Federal Register Banned Devices Proposal to ban electrical stimulation devices used to treat self-injurious and aggressive behavior, which states in 2007 the Massachusetts Department of Early Education and Care, DEEC, conducted an investigation of the JRC's Stoughton residence, where GED devices were used on individuals living there, reference 70. According to the investigation report, an individual reported waking up because his roommate was screaming. His roommate had been asleep but was shocked by a GED, waking him and causing him to scream. Remember what I said about sleep deprivation? Horrifying. Let me get back here. JRC staff reported the skin was off of the area and of the leg where the GED shots had been applied, that the GED was removed from the leg because the area on was too bad to keep the device. And either individual who received the shocks or the staff, it is not clear who, believed a stage 2 ulcer was in the area where the skin was missing. The FDA 2016 proposal also lays out that the FDA has determined that ESDs for SIB or AB present the following risks: depression, fear, escape, avoidance behaviors, panic, aggression, substitution of other behaviors such as freezing, and catatonic sit-down. I've had both previously. Granted, my catatonic states generally last longest about around an hour or so. And they don't happen very often. They used to when I was a kid. They thought I was having seizures. Worsening of underlying symptoms such as increased frequency and bursts of self-injury, pain, burns, tissue damage, and device misapplication or failure. All of this is established fact per ER documentation and video surveillance footage, as well as ER photo evidence. You can find all those in the description box. Just go to Autistic Hoya's massive archive. Her link is right there in there. Just click on that. Our evidence has evidence. And that evidence has evidence. Just saying. Alright, so we're going to finish this up here. The FDA has determined ESDs for SIB and AB present the following risks. We just covered that. Based on the scientific literature regarding ISDs, the FDA has determined that ESDs for SIB and AB also present the risks of PTSD or acute stress disorder, shock stress reaction, and learned helplessness. This literature also provides support for the risks of depression, anxiety, fear, and pain. Yep, that sounds right. These devices are not helping patients they are being used on, and instead are causing harm both physically and psychological. I urge the FDA to act to ban the electric stimulation devices for self-injurious aggressive behavior. Usually I interrupt these writings, but this particular comment is just so straight on that I really didn't have much commentary to add on to it. This is pretty on point. We're going to do a couple more and close out. Again, that rant went a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but God, man toward inhumanity towards man. Nothing can quite set me off like it. Alright, this one here states, banning ESDs for these treatments has my full support, even for cases of self-harm or aggressive behavior where those operating the devices claim it provides the strongest reduction of those behaviors. It is only done so by committing human rights violation with a hypocritical goal. Preach! And a nonsensical one. I must stop you from hurting yourself by hurting you. As a punishment for you hurting yourself. This is the level of circular thinking that just makes my brain want to explode. Or maybe spontaneously I'll just combust, because what in the actual hell? Cannot wrap my brain around that, sincerely. Alright, this one states, I support this proposal. This treatment is inhumane and should not be allowed ever. As a disabled adult, I encourage you to fully support a ban on all electric shock under any circumstance. Beautiful. Quick and to the point, you gotta love it. Alright, this one states, as an autistic person, I know how difficult managing SIB is, but I also know how detrimental it is to be punished with physical pain for trying to manage your emotions. SIB and AB are expressions of discomfort and displeasure. They are simply attempts at communication. Yes and no, hon. The only time I really engage in self-injurious behavior is within the confines of having a full autistic meltdown. I really don't do anything to harm myself when I am in my right mind. In fact, I do everything to avoid it, almost to my own detriment sometimes. But others do, so I know what they're saying here. That's just not been my experience, but I also wanted you guys to know that it can be different with each of us and how that manifests. Some of us only do cause ourselves self-injury when we are in meltdown. Some of us have a particular stem that can cause us harm. I just have never been that particular person. Especially a vulnerable person who may be unable to communicate their pain. If someone screams, it means no, unless, we're talking about the fun kind. And as it's the JRC, we know we're not talking about the fun kind. Please ban the use of ESDs for treating SIB and AB. And we're going to go ahead and leave it there, folks, because it makes it just about perfect. And for once, I'll have a little bit of time to relax before the hanger kicks in. So folks, we don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get, do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you all would be so kind, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget the comments, and make sure that you are still set up for notifications. We're going to be coming back tomorrow with the Down the Rabbit Hole series in its next episode, and on Sunday we're going to be following that up with the next episode of our new series, The Snake Oil Salesman. We don't want you to miss anything. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.